Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. It is a magnificent Monday, and we want you to be a part of our monthly Mental Health Matters, building relationships at work and in your personal lives. We got some cement, some sand, some glue. Is that what we mean by building? Maybe. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I trust you had a very relaxing, enjoyable, and even somewhat productive weekend. Thank you all very, very much for being so supportive of our annual Breeze Fusion Walk Run. It's a way for us not only to invite the community to partner with us as we support our charities, in particular the NCVO. So thank you for being a part of it. If you haven't made plans yet, it's not too late. Think about it for next year. I mean, you've missed a good thing. Well, this month, always grateful to Dr. Alexandra Borden for helping us to facilitate our monthly Mental Health Matters. Dr. Borden, as we go around the table and introduce our guests, but thank you so much. Hope you don't mind me sharing with you, but it's always a pleasure, Mom, to work with you on this.
Yeah, no, and thank you very much. Thank you to you and to Radio Cayman as well for allowing us to have these panels each month.
And I'm glad that we're starting to think of our health from the perspective that it's all inclusive and all encompassing. And just as we talk about mental health matters, but it is just another part of our health. And you know, how can we be healthy if we're not looking after all aspects of our health?
For sure.
All right. So this month, relationships. I mean, I was building muscle. Building my relationship. No, I just kidding. What are we chatting about?
Yeah, no, and sometimes that helps too. Well, it's good if you feel good about yourself. It's easier to meet people and be genuine. So social support is huge. Humans are naturally social creatures, and we tend to want to be around other people. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be the biggest factor in our happiness and overall well-being. So we thought it was important to take a look at how to build relationships, what are the benefits of having people around us, what are some common difficulties that we face in relationships at work and in our personal life, and what can we do to improve them, either to create more or to create better quality relationships.
Okay. Well, as I would be very, very grateful and respectful to ask our guests to do a brief intro, and I was debating, should we ask Dr. George to go first, or should we give her the time to catch her breath and maybe deference to we say ladies first, maybe start with Mr. Jones and say, you know what, put the rooster out first. I mean, let's see what happens. And those who through the fences first usually get scraped up. So maybe just you go through and make the path, man.
All right. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me once again. I miss this show so much. I reached out to Dr. Bodden on the weekend and said, hey, could you use anybody else on the show Monday? So my name's Jason Jones, and I'm a licensed counseling therapist at Hope Academy Clinical Services, which is a community mental health agency that works with anyone on the island, young, old, students, adults, children. And we also work in partnership with Hope Academy, the school, as well, pretty closely.
All right. And Ms. Heather, always a pleasure. Good afternoon to you. Brief, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, I know we always welcome your continued contribution, but just in case there's one person who's out there not quite sure.
It's wonderful to be back. It's a great pleasure. I love this show. I'm Heather Lockhart. I'm a certified life coach with Behavioral Health Associates Cayman, BHAC, and we are a full-range comprehensive behavioral health care practice with a psychiatrist, a therapist, and myself, a coach, and our coaching leg is the Clarity Hub. And you can find me on Instagram.
All right. And Dr. George, welcome. Thank you. Hopefully we'll get a chance to have you on board, more and more as the years unfold.
Thank you. And thank you so much. My name is Dr. Cindy George, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time, so I'm excited to be a part of the conversation. I am the marriage and family therapist at the Wellness Center in Georgetown, and we serve numerous populations, individuals, families, children, for various concerns, whether it range from mental disorders to academic challenges and also to any family difficulties. So I'm the marriage and family therapist on staff, but definitely we have other members in our clinical team that are able to work with persons suffering from any other the disorders and life challenges. And it's good to be here. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you all for accepting the invite, and I say this very, very grateful, very, very grateful to you, Dr. Warden, because when we look at the idea of speaking, particularly about relationships, sometimes we're quick to think of the relationship of those two individuals who are engaged in something more than just business, or they're not related in any way by blood. And those are the relationships sometimes that we focus on. But just working with your colleagues, being able to get something done that is time sensitive, or it may be a social opportunity for the team to, well, let's see how we can come together so that we can enjoy working together so that we can be more productive in our organization. Even those can be challenging. How do we put on a smiley face? What a song, put on a happy face. Whatever. It's more than that, right, Dr. Morton?
Yeah. And I'd say there are so many different kinds of relationships. Understanding that there are differences can be important as well in how we approach them, especially when there are differences of opinions.
Differences of opinions. A friend of mine, Mr. Jones, shares with me with his wife. He says, him and his wife, they do a lot of compromising, and just to make sure she gets what she wants. I mean, works for him, right? No?
Well, yeah, happy wife is a happy life, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Behind every good man is a better woman.
Like this.
You know what? But is it then that, and I say that, thanks for allowing me to jest a bit. We believe that it's give and take, and sometimes it's more take than give, and we don't believe it's holding the ground. We got to compromise. You can't speak out, so therefore, in order to win, one must lose. We adopt it sometimes in our marriages in order to make sure. Miss Heather, you wanted to jump in there? Or you?
Oh, no, I was just thinking along with what Dr. Bodden was saying about differences of opinion. There's also many times a power dynamic at work. In a friendship, you might be able to have a little bit more transparent conversation and say, I'm feeling uncomfortable here. That might not be as easy at work, where you might be a junior person and dealing with a management team where you feeling a certain way, but don't feel as open to just sitting down and saying, this is what I feel. So that needs to be navigated differently when there is a power dynamic in your organization. But it doesn't mean it can't be navigated well.
Now, with that then, that at work in particular, that power dynamic, it could also, and I would like to come to that maybe in the personal relationships, spouses, siblings, and like. But that power dynamic, we may think at work it is the supervisor, the senior manager, and the new entrant. But it could be that person who has that length of experience within the organization, that level of expertise, who's the gatekeeper, who knows the thing. And yes, they may not be the senior manager, but they just know the buttons to push the people to.
So true.
And they control the flow of information, as it were.
Yeah.
Just take away from you. And that's just she's away. She's not listening. I'm good. Jason, I can't speak for you.
That's right. Yeah, I told her I was coming on today. I don't know if she's listening or not.
Well, I hope so, because happy wife, happily.
It's interesting as you say that, because I just think about like everybody's going through their own journey, and some of us are aware of others and to various degrees, and others are not aware of others, and just kind of looking to get our own needs met in different ways. And if there's anything I enjoy, I really enjoy about being a counselor, it's that I've been taught and trained, and I've had to learn how to tune into other people and find out what's going on with them. So they may be saying one thing, but I'm seeing something else or hearing something else. And it's just helped me pay attention to what's going on with another person. And that's helped in relationships, because, your person that gets up, comes into work, we don't know what's gone on, or the kid that's in school, or, we don't know what's happened to them as they walk into work that day. And we might take it personally, but there might be something really going on in their life.
No, I was going to say that's a very good point, Mr. Jones, because as far as going back to what Ms. Heather was saying with respect to the power differential, I think it's something that we need to recognize that, yes, there may be a supervisor and somebody under them, but then really understanding how to then know your subordinate, know your leader, and understand little nuances in behaviors. And it's all about being open in our communication, not just verbally, but non-verbally, and that can really begin to help bridge that, what we call a wide gap in the hierarchy in an organizational structure. So I think while yes, the power differential is there, I think once we begin to look at individuals as individuals and begin to understand, okay, what might Mary be going through today? Or as they come in, she might be a bit quiet, things like that. And then begin to bridge that gap in terms of communicating. I think that will help with those relationships and that power struggle. And while it's there theoretically, it has to be there. It doesn't have to be that, strained relationship between persons in that organizational structure. If we just took the time, to see those things. Yeah. Okay.
When we come back from the break, could we ask a couple of questions? Start off with, irrespective of the type of relationship, work or personal, married couple, dating couple, siblings, are there common difficulties among all relationships? Or, and this question of, it's a relationship, for want of a better term. Do they have to be difficult? Is it easy to manage a relationship? The bank or the corporate service provider has a relationship manager, right? Because they want, so we have different terms. So is it managing relationships? Is that something that we can do? Why is it so difficult? But let's start with the first question, see where that takes us. For those who are listening, we want you not only to stay tuned, but we invite you to call and share your thoughts. I know you're probably thinking, hey, is DJ Lynn there? And then you hear, nope, it's Susan. And you go, yay. So Susan's going to be answering our phones and making it sound great. So welcome back, Miss Susan. She had a couple hours off. We gave her some time. 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255. Those are the numbers to call. And likewise, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Tossing and turning, can't sleep? It's time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Take advantage of the fantastic savings on mattresses at Brand Source Home Gallery. Browse the huge mattress showroom and pick the perfect mattress today at 30% off. Brand Source Home Gallery has tons of new inventory from Sealy, Posturepedic, Carrington Chase, and Tempur-Pedic. With mattresses in every size to suit every budget, now's the time to save 30% and sleep better tonight. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Sale ends November 16th. Call 623-5000 for more information.
Pirates Week got something for everyone. This holiday Monday, November 11th, come out to Culture Shop on Cardinal Avenue. Watch the youth snapper cook-off, learn how to make silver touch rope, blow a conch horn, and spin a gig. Local arts and crafts will be on sale, and vendors will offer up the best in traditional foods and treats. But wait, there's more. Find out who will win the District Heritage Ambassador Costume Competition and stay for the Illumination Parade and fireworks. Learn more at piratesweekfestival.com. Culture Shop, Monday, November 11, Cardinal Avenue, starting at 12 noon. Sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, AI Rentals, Ace K-Man, the Tourism Attraction Board, Pepsi, and K-Man Distributors Group.
Also brought to you by Radio K-Man.
Put a brand new 2020 Chevrolet Equinox Premier under your tree this Christmas and enjoy the most equipped SUV in its class with foot sensor liftgate, four-wheel drive, panoramic sunroof, ventilated leather seats, wireless phone charge, parking assist, front collision sensor, rear vision camera, remote vehicle start, and a 1.5-liter turbo engine. Whew. And the best part is, buy now and pay nothing until next year. Visit the showroom on Owen Roberts Drive for a test drive or visit AdvancedChevrolet.com to start enjoying your Christmas early.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on their variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Do you know any young person between the age of 10 and 25 with proven success in the areas of business, academics, career, sports, culture, or community service? Here's your chance to recognize their achievements by nominating them for the Proud of Them Awards. To play your part in honoring our community's most extraordinary youth, simply visit www.proudofthem.com or www.education.gov.ky to find the nomination instructions and details. Nominations are open now and close on November 20th. Join us in inspiring our youth to reach higher. Brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture, and Lands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is our monthly Mental Health Matters. Building relationships, at work and in our lives. Dr. Alexandra Borden, Dr. Cindy George, Miss Heather Lockhart, and Mr. Jason Jones are our guests. Of course, the phone lines are open and we invite you to call and share and continue to speak more openly and publicly about our health. And, if I can, with the guidance of our guests, let mental health just be health. It's just another aspect of whether we're looking at our physical or spiritual, emotional or financial and the other part. Being healthy. Right, Dr. Borden?
Absolutely.
All right. I asked the question before the break because sometimes we make distinction between certain things. If we're cooking, are you baking, broiling, stewing, steaming, stir frying? We make distinctions, but at the end of the day, you put a meal hopefully on the table that people enjoy. So in relationships then, is it that it matters not whether it's brother and sister, two sisters, two siblings of any sort, adopted or biological? Does it matter if it's man and wife? Oh, shouldn't it be husband and wife? Maybe he's married, she's not. I don't know. Just kidding. Oh, it's just fun. No, but does it matter then the context of the relationship and work versus private?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's different kinds of relationships that we have. And I think that that's always something that's important to keep in mind. And so in a relationship is going to be a situation where there's going to be ongoing interactions between either two people, a person and an agency, different agencies. So there's different kinds of relationships as well. Like I think we referred earlier to relationship building. A lot of times that is between different agencies or different companies. So there's going to be different kinds of relationships. And depending on the kind of relationship it is and the context of it, whether it's family, whether it's like a parent-child, between two siblings, if it's going to be friendship versus a romantic relationship or a work relationship, there's going to be different expectations that we have and different kinds of boundaries that will be important for it and different ways that we approach things. Whenever I talk to people about relationships, it's always important to understand the dynamic between the people and to make sure that what you're asking or seeking in a relationship is appropriate and that person is going to be able to meet the needs of what you're looking for as well. So there's a lot of things to consider in looking at relationships.
All right, now relationships and the potential differences or difficulties, are they common across all relationships? I mean, specifically.
I think anytime you have two people trying to do anything, there's going to be difficulties.
Okay.
Differences in background, differences in understanding, differences in ways that we say things, differences that way we understand things, different assumptions. So while they're dealing with people who are similar to us, it may be easier because a lot of our basic assumptions are going to be more alike. There's always going to be times where there may be differences of opinions or just seeing things differently or where a conversation needs to be had, which is uncomfortable for many people. A lot of us don't like conflict and try to run from it. But really, having those kinds of discussions up front and assertively can be helpful in actually building the relationship.
So then getting that sort of differences, let's put differences on the table. Let's see. Many people take that approach. Let's find out where we're not alike in order to. Is that a good approach, Dr. George?
In terms of looking at it in differences,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I think, with all relationships, as Dr. Bodden say, it comes down to individuals. Mm-hmm. And I think the individual differences really play in to whether these relationships are successful or not. And with a lot of the differences that I see in my practice, and again, it can be personal relationships, it could be professional relationships. I think some of the differences are definitely how they make meaning of their role. And sometimes you might have on the job, one person might see their role as one thing, and then the other person might see their role as different. And so you have one role, but two people seeing it differently. And so that's where a lot of the conflict may come in, because then I'm going to act in a way that I'm thinking my role is, and then this other person's going to act in a way that they think my role is. And so if we don't have that communication, if we don't have that understanding and of really what is my role, and I like what you said, Dr. Bodden, expectations, we're going to act it's different. And that's where we get a lot of the conflicts and a lot of the challenges coming in relationships. And I see it also too with couples. One of the questions I ask my couples, how do you describe yourself as a wife? How do you describe yourself or define yourself as a husband? What is your role and your expectations? And sometimes they kind of look at me like, well, I'm a husband, I'm a wife. I'm going to do my wifely stuff, I'm going to do my husband stuff. But sometimes it's not as general as that, because we're all individuals. And I think if we take that generalistic approach, then we come into a lot of challenges, because then individually we're thinking something specific for me, you're thinking something specific for you, and the other person is thinking something specific. So I think definitely those differences, those individual differences are key in really a lot of the challenges and making it work as well. So once we can work on those, I think we're pretty good with that, in terms of the difference piece. Yeah.
No, with that then, well, anyone else wants to jump in, I was asked the idea of compromise. We keep hearing that earlier, and I try to joke about it to some extent. We hear compromise. Oh, you must, be willing to negotiate, compromise. So for some, that is the expectation. Others, that word itself is a negative connotation.
Well, that's an excellent point, and I really like what you had to say there, Dr. George, as well. Understanding each other's styles is the first step, whether it's work or marriage. Mm-hmm. What one person perceives as being, having very high standards could be perceived by someone else as a demanding perfectionist.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So communicate, whether that's in marriage and how often we take the trash out, how clean we keep the house, or at work, well, how fast are you answering my emails? Mm-hmm. And how we're interpreting our deadlines. So it's really important that it starts with communication. And how are we going to interpret our common goals, our shared goals, and our individual goals? So it starts with communication and having not just one conversation, but ongoing conversations about how we're going to work with. No two people are exactly alike, and we wouldn't want that. Yeah. That's not good for creativity or families or anything else. It's good that we have different styles and different strengths and weaknesses. But how do we work together to reach our goals and to enjoy life?
Come on, you got to enjoy life, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm reminded of when I first took my first communication course back in college, and in the first weeks, they laid out the communication, like what happens from the sender to the receiver, the message, the noise, the external noise, like you're adjusting right now, the psychological noise, like what you're thinking about as I'm talking and what you're hearing. And there's so much that happens between the sender and receiver and then back, feedback given, that's difficult in itself to get right. You might say something to me, and because it reminds me of something else in the past, I might think that you're implying something about me. But if I don't verify to clarify that, then we have a breakdown from the very beginning. And a lot of us walk around. I'm learning, especially in Cayman culture, apparently you folks tend to be a little passive and, won't assert yourself or say things. You'll just kind of, take something and mutter it under your breath or something. This is what a Caymanian told me now. So I got that from actually Dr. Hawkins on the weekend. And she was telling us a bit about the culture and the ways around here. So, there might be a lot of miscommunication happening from the very beginning, and I can take that and run with it because I'm overly sensitive and emotionally immature at times. And if you say something to me and I take it the wrong way or it reminds me, I can go away with a big resentment. And, unless I really process that and say, okay, what am I disturbed about? How is this affecting me? How am I receiving this? And look at my part of it, and then let the emotions pass and maybe go back to a coworker and say, hey, when you said that, what did you really mean by that? And talk about it. And I saved a relationship at work by this. In my old days, I would have said something, been aggressive maybe, but I took some time, thought about it, looked at my part, went back. Now we've got the best relationship.
So with that, as I listened to what Jason was sharing, things can get lost in translation. So as we're communicating in that relationship, what is it? Active listening. Not only am I hearing what you're saying, but I'm engaged so that I can maybe ask a question, seek clarification, I can verify. But body language, there are those of us who may not say anything verbally, but our eyes, the way we, different things. Different cultures respond differently. Misinterpreted at times, or if you don't pay attention.
It can be misinterpreted sometimes, but I think definitely looking at the nonverbals is also important, because it depends on the individual. I mean, there might be someone that is not that great in verbal communication, but then they do little things that show something. They might just come and sit next to you, or they might put their hand on your shoulder or whatever it is, to smooth you down or whatever. And so these are things that are communicating but not verbally speaking. Definitely we can have miscommunications. And again, it can be from a cultural perspective, and it can be from individual meaning, how we make meaning of things. But I think one thing that I'm going to end this with, and I think Ms. Lockhart said it was so important. I like what you said on ongoing communication. And I always say to my clients, to my couples, you always just want to talk when something's wrong, and you just want to talk when I think I'm going to be leaving or I think the marriage is in trouble. But let's always have that ongoing communication. It could be positive. It seems like we only want to talk when it's something negative, we got to fix something. But let's talk when there's those positive things. I just want to share something that you did that I liked. And then that will then let you to know what I like, how I communicate, how I then would have responded non-verbally, all of those things like that. But I think we take for granted those day-to-day interactions, and we only want to communicate and let's have the talk when things are not going well. So it's an ongoing process.
Just like prayer. We want to pray when it's going bad. We don't pray, give thanks, right? All right. I want to engage just further, but I also want to stay on the good side of Susan, because the other people, they don't crack the whip as hard. There's a break to take. Let's do that. When you come back, Ms. Heather, you jump in and continue to share your thoughts. Dr. Borden, likewise. And, as we invite you to return for our monthly Mental Health Matters. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Logic presents The Change Project, a campaign that highlights the reality of cyberbullying and the mental health impact it has on teens, parents, teachers, and families. Few people speak up when they witness cyberbullying, but we can change that together. We can strive to make a difference in our community by promoting responsible internet and social media use in the Cayman Islands and beyond. Will you pledge to make a safer, friendlier world online? Visit thechangeprojectcayman.com and take the pledge today. Proudly presented and supported by Logic.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars, local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is our monthly Mental Health Matters, and this month in our discussion, building, relationships at work and in our lives. And I'm very grateful to Dr. Alexandra Borden for helping us, as she does an incredible amount of work facilitating our monthly production. This month, our panelists also include Dr. Cindy George, Ms. Heather Lockhart, and Mr. Jason Jones. It would seem, though, sometimes that we take relationships for granted. The coach on the football team always thinks, you know what, my star player is going to be there, never get sick, never get injured, going to score every goal. The keeper is going to keep all the goals, all these things are going to happen. The fans are going to be there supporting us, win, lose, or draw. Is it then that in that relationship, whether it's marital, whether it's familiar in some other way, or even at work, that we tend to become comfortable? We take something for granted, and we confuse being able to depend on someone and become independent. Who wants to see where I'm going with this? And Dr. George is thinking, should I? I'm leading you, Dr. George.
No, it's interesting because, when you say you, and I'm thinking of the word comfortable.
Comfortable.
You become comfortable, then you become complacent, right? And then you become non-engaged.
Less compassionate.
Right? And so what happens is that the relationship begins to suffer because then we're not putting anything into it. Not putting anything into it, and I when I work with my couples, whether it be professionally or personally, but more so on the personal level, that's one of the things that we say we just cannot allow the relationship to become too comfortable. And then how do we then not allow that to happen? I think it goes back to just recognizing again the definition of this relationship. I mean, somebody might say, well, we've been married for 20 years. Why do I need to define a relationship? No, you have to continuously defining it, continuously making the description of that role, your expectations, and even at work. I might be in a job for 10 years. Guess what? I need to then get a new job description. It might have some of the same things, but if you want me to keep doing the same thing after 10 years, what's the point? Right? So again, going back to the question, I think we want to begin to start not getting comfortable, redefine our relationships, put more effort into them, not only personally but professionally. And I think that then brings and breathes life into it and keeps it more healthy.
So from the perspective then, if Ms. Heather, unless you wanted, I don't want to jump in.
Yes, I often have a client will come in and say, I don't feel heard or valued anymore in XYZ relationship. It could be a friendship that I've had this long friend since childhood, and I feel like she's backing the truck up on me all the time, and she doesn't ask me anything about me. Or it could be, again, in a work relationship, is I don't feel like my boss sees me anymore. Or sometimes it's the kids. The kids are growing up, and I feel like I'm just there as an employed person in the house, and I don't feel valued in my own home. So that starts with voicing your needs, as you had mentioned earlier, Jason. That you need to stand up and voice them, because sometimes people don't know that you feel that way. Relationships are always fluid. They're never 50-50, ever. And someone that's been married for a long time, I can say that it's never exactly balanced. So you need to keep that conversation flowing. So renegotiating that relationship is always possible, but the first step, rather than simmering in resentment, is to have a conversation and talk about it.
All right.
It's important for individuals to continue growing, and that's where the conversation is important, because hopefully you will continue to grow as a person in addition to as a couple. And so it's important to constantly kind of renegotiating how's this going to work, even role transitions like becoming from husband and wife to parents to grandparents. There's different expectations and different responsibilities, and so it's important to be able to be adaptable to what's expected of you in that time, or as one of the partners changes jobs or changes career direction, being able to take that on board and make adjustments as needed is important.
In the workspace then, we see companies try to reward, incentivize, somehow recognize their employees so that they don't feel like they're taken for granted, that they're, just assume they'll be there. So we see these things. We see a lot of organizations go to great lengths to make sure that they find ways to incentivize, monetize, value that employee. In the personal space then, the married couple, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I'll be careful how I say this, because I'm not trying to be offensive, but spice it up. Keep it spicy. That may be the wrong word. A friend of mine, with his acquiescence, he said, after how many years of marriage, they decided to have a date night. Every Thursday night, they would do something, right? Which sounds great. And then one day he said, but that's planned. Every Thursday we're going to go to the movie, we're going to go to dinner. Well, why can't we do it Wednesday or Tuesday or Sunday? Why can't we go for this instead of that? And at first, he shared, and his question I'll ask in a second, he shared, well, the date night was good because then the children got to see that the parents were still young and having, and then that was, how do you put it? It took a while for the children to understand, well, why are you going out Thursday night? I mean, it's not a weekend, right? So we got school the next day. They needed to see what was happening. Then he said after the children got to a certain age, well, they had a house, well, why can't we go out tonight? There's nothing on tomorrow. His wife was like, well, why do you want to change it up? Do you have plans Thursday night? But he said, why are we becoming, and guess what her word was? Predictable. Mm-hmm. Predictable. Mm-hmm. And in that, what he saw as being this thing, you can rely on me. It's consistent. Oh, why can't we do this differently? Mm-hmm. So where do we draw the line that there is a level? And Jason's going, I need to think about this. That Wednesday night, date night needs to change to Mondays.
No, what I was actually thinking about as you were talking was kind of understanding what's important to the other person you're in a relationship with, be it your spouse, a sibling, a parent, a coworker, supervisor. What are their values? What really makes them feel good? And I was thinking about my own relationship, and picking up my socks and putting the dishes in the dishwasher is really important. It's really important to my wife.
Your socks too in the dishwasher?
No, in the hamper. But I've kind of tuned into things like, recognition, recognizing somebody and giving them a comment instead of keeping it inside myself, And I think that we tend to be somewhat selfish beings, like we're biased towards our own self most of the time. And the more we can get out of ourselves and think about another person and things that they like, that's like making deposits to the relationship, and the more deposits we're making to a relationship, But it seems like getting our own needs met, there tend to be withdrawals all the time from those relationships. So,
okay.
When you're first dating someone, you're fascinated by them, right? And you get a text from them. How are they today? You're really listening. How is their day? How are they? Did they have a good day? I mean, you're in the new part of it. Everything is just unbelievably fascinating. So it can be interesting if you're interested in a long-term relationship being exciting, is to really listen to your partner when you come home from that long day, the kids, the dogs, all that. How was their day? It's kind of a question to get out of the way. How's your day? Okay, great. What are we having? What are we doing? What's the homework? To really listen. How was their day? How was it really? And to try to be as fascinated as you were when you're first dating. And that's an exercise that I've done myself, is to really tune in and listen, and to set aside space to active listening space, to really listen to how that other person is doing, and to stay interested in something outside yourself, because we are interested in ourselves. Right. We want to get our own needs met. We need to kick our shoes off and have someone listen to us. But to really stay tuned in, because we are changing. We're not the same person that they married, and they're not the same person that we married.
So there's physical, psychological, all these changes have taken place. If I dare may ask then, in that early, just in a personal relationship, but it's even in an organization, what is it we talk about? New room, sweeps clean. That new employee that comes in, makes a good impression for the first day, first week, first month, whatever. Then, so, but in the personal space, the personal relationship, you're excited about this person. You want to know everything about them, and they want to share. And then after a certain time, no big deal. Is it then that it was infatuation, as some talk about? Was it Rod Stewart? Or has it grown complacent, comfortable? And if it isn't, how do we make sure that that interest that you had initially in everything that the person did and said, you were hanging on with bated breath, that 30 years later, 50 years later, oh, my heartstring just yearns for thee as you enter the door. I mean, we see some couples that have that, irrespective of the 75th wedding anniversary. There's that love. So how does it go from?
I've got a great analogy for that, actually, because I married my wife after 3 weeks of being together, and it was definitely not love at that point. It was probably a pretty impulsive decision, and then the going got rough for a little while. And I remember, a man talking to us, and he said, "Why don't you guys stop falling in love and grow in love?" And, I remember a young guy teaching me that too. He was a really spiritual person. And he said, love is a verb, love is an action. And, that you have to not just wait for the feelings, but you have to do actions and the feelings will follow. So that's my theory on that.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, because Dr. George?
No, I just want 2 minutes.
Yes,
I just want to add, I wrote it down. I think, like you said, do we get bored after a while, and how can we then keep it going? And I always say, we want to share an experience. And it's really about not just asking how your day is going and getting that answer, but how am I then sharing my life with my partner and experiencing my partner's life? And that's how we grow in the relationship. Because you're right, after a while you get bored, I don't know what's happening, you get that lack of excitement. Yeah. But when we realize we're on a different level, and then we're committed to being on that level with our partner long term, we want to begin to then share and experience their day-to-day life. And I think that's really what bonds those intimate relationships for persons. I just wanted to add that piece.
So helping to live vicariously sometimes through your partner traveling for work, not only praying for their safety, but maybe you can experience some of the things through them. All right. All right, when we come back then, picked up on what Jason shared. Someone had said long ago, learn to be of service. Instead of being selfish, be of service to your partner. Satisfy the needs as best, as often, as consistent as you can. If they do the same for you, then so much the better. Now, is that misinterpreted sometimes of us looking at it being subservient instead of being of service, of giving too much and fearful of taking? And if so, and if not, how to be just that? Talk about that for a bit. All right, and then we also have a prize for you. No, we don't. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Director of Primary Healthcare, Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, is advising of the arrival of this year's flu vaccine. Vaccines for the seasonal flu will be available at the Cayman Islands Hospital, District Health Centers in Grand Cayman, Faith Hospital on Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman Clinic. The flu vaccine is free to all residents. No appointments are necessary. However, people should indicate to the registration officer at the clinic that they need to have the flu shot. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. India's top court has accused state governments of passing the buck on air pollution and failing to take action to tackle Delhi's toxic smog. The Supreme Court said authorities were only interested in gimmicks rather than concrete measures to combat pollution levels. Levels of dangerous particles in the air, known as PM 2.5, are at well over 10 times safe limits in the capital. City authorities have responded by launching a car rationing system. And a Canada-wide investigation involving 10 media outlets and 9 universities has revealed high levels of lead in the country's drinking water. The year-long investigation was conducted by more than 120 journalists in partnership with the Institute for Investigative Journalism. Some cities showed lead levels higher than those in Flint, Michigan during its 2015 water crisis. Canada has the world's third largest supply of fresh drinking water. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Pirates Week is sending out an SOS to all soca junkies. Sounds of Soca is bringing the biggest, baddest soca artists to Harbor Drive. Friday, November 8th, dance to the sounds of Irfan Alves, Alison Hines, and the Queen of Bacchanal, Destra. All backed by the Bacchanal Band. $30 pre-sold, $40 at the gate. Gates open at 7 p.m. But that's not all. It's a vibe with Nessa Preppy on Saturday, November 9th. Free. SOS also features some of Cayman's top DJs and entertainers. Sounds of Soca. A weekend of street dances. Friday, November 8th and Saturday, November 9th. Get your tickets now at Winner's Circle, Blackbeard's Liquor, and eventpro.ky. Sounds of Soca is sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, AI Rentals, Ace Hardware, Bacardi, Cayman Airways, Sharkies, and brought to you by Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us, and I trust that, as we have our monthly mental health matters, you continue to not only tune in, but as you avail yourself of our opportunities. May I say this and ask our guests to certainly correct me if I'm wrong. Please do not hesitate, do not feel any semblance of shame or stigma. Find a professional, competent person that you feel comfortable with and have a chat about anything. If you feel it's going to help you, no matter what, take your spouse along, go by yourself. Do not, deny yourself any opportunity. Just like you would when you want to learn how to cook something, you go look for your grandmother so she can show you better. Well, go talk to your therapist, your counselor, your psychologist, your psychiatrist to make sure your health. Dr. Alexandra Borden, Dr. Cindy George, Miss Heather Lockhart, and Mr. Jason Jones are our guests. I say that because I think sometimes we still have the stigma of chatting with someone, but yet friends would sit over a game of dominoes. Maybe they'll have a glass of lemonade, or if they're fortunate, perhaps a good cold glass of coconut water, and they share, right? But for some reason, talking to a professional about something that helps them in their life experiences, I don't need that, but they'll go to a physician and I got a cough, doctor, give me some antibiotics. Why do we ignore?
Well, and I think that's interesting because counseling, therapy, coaching, it's a different kind of relationship. And so that's really great to bring up. Thank you. And I think especially my experience is that in Cayman, a lot of times we don't understand the differences because we do just like how lawyers have privilege, right? So things are discussed with a lawyer can't be discussed elsewhere. We have the same thing, we call it confidentiality with our clients. And so that's what makes the relationship with a counselor or a therapist different, is that what is discussed there is discussed in confidence and won't be discussed anywhere else. There's a few caveats that are necessary for safety.
Right.
But generally in Cayman, we're quite skeptical because we know everyone knows everyone and everyone talks everyone's business, especially now with Small Road publishes it and shares it with everyone. But, we're so used to that I think it's hard for people to trust that. But that's where it's important if you do work with someone to make sure that they are professionally trained, that they are registered with CPAM or with a coaching federation, and that way you know that they are working under certain ethics. And it's important to have that there because then you know that you can share openly about what's going on, right? Because sometimes when we say things to friends and family, they're connected to us and they're going to give us their opinion because of what they know and what their investment and their opinion is of their relationship.
But I sort of want us to continue talking about this, but if I could also ask of you the idea of the stigma. We think just because, I come in to talk to Dr. Borden about something has to be wrong.
Right. True.
Let's not get there. I mean, let's talk to someone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we can be helpful before things go wrong as well. So Miss Heather and I often do workshops on communication and accountability. Communication is huge because we deal with people all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so if you can express yourself in a more helpful way, you're more likely to have helpful relationships, which improves everything. Not only do we feel better, we get more out of the relationships, we're more productive at work, we enjoy the relationships more. So really there's a lot of benefits to having healthy relationships around us.
It's like when Dr. George was sharing earlier, I said, it's like when we pray, we wait till it goes bad and we pray help us, but many of us don't remember to give thanks, to pray when it's going good. It's just from that perspective.
Yeah.
And I think the stigma is changing here in the Cayman Islands. The Wellness Center just moved into a beautiful new office and expanding on courses. All of our offices are very, very busy. So I think people are reaching out for help. And I've seen a lot of growth in that space here. People are really accepting that as a normal part of health, is their mental health.
Yeah. Well, I
think they're getting to that place where they're accepting it. Yes.
Yes. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Slow. Well, I used to joke. I had a good friend, she used to share when she first came, where's the nearest therapist? I didn't quite. What do you mean, hairdresser? The therapist? And then she would say, even her dog has a therapist back in her home state.
New York and LA, everyone has one.
You know her too, huh?
Oh yeah.
I mean, but I say that because I want us to get to a point where we're comfortable talking to, the professionals, where there's confidentiality, where we have that objective, independent view of things that guide us, so that we'll go to the doctor, for that thing.
Well, and just like a doctor, we've all got experience. We've all been in the field for several years. By the time we're licensed, we've got years of experience. We've seen it before, more than likely. There's a few things that surprise me anymore. And so there is, I think, some comfort in that. We've seen people go through it. We've seen people come out of it and overcome it. And so I think that's where it can be really helpful. We have not only the training and the experience, but also the experience working with other people in similar situations.
Is that commercial, Jason? We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, the other really important thing about talk therapy is, there's something about talking to a person and not being judged, criticized, told what to do. I know some people come to counseling, they think they're going to tell me what to do, but that's not necessarily how it works.
Let's just talk shows.
But it's sharing the burden, right, with another person. And I know many clients, especially, kids, have said to me, I wish you were my father, because the responses that they're getting, they feel validated. They feel like they're not broke. They feel like they're important and valued as a human being, and then again challenged to work through whatever problems they have. So, yeah, there's definitely something about talk therapy. I think we all could use some of it.
And I like that it's not. I had someone say to me the other day, "Well, those people that get therapy, it's all of us might need help at some point. I think it's 1 in 4 reach out for professional help. Last year I went through a serious illness. I went through cancer. And it was very stressful. And what was helpful to me is to know that there were so many professionals here in the Cayman Islands that if I needed something else in my toolkit to help me, that I had a wealth of people to choose from. That if I needed a boost for a period of time, it was us. I could have been, I might still be one of those people that need help from a professional in a confidential space that will give me tools for my toolkit. End of story. No different than going to a dental professional, a cardiologist. I don't know what's in the future, but I know that there's resources here.
Right. If I may ask then, let's do it, Dr. George first.
Yeah, I just wanted to add 2 minutes. I think definitely one of the things that may be a hesitation for some persons, and especially maybe here in Cayman where the population is so diverse, some persons may say, well, okay, I don't know if I want to go to this therapist because we're of a different culture. They may not understand me. They may not understand where I'm coming from. And what I want to say to those persons that may be thinking that is that we're talking about relationships, and the counselor-client connection is a relationship. And I want us to recognize that even though we may be from different backgrounds and different cultural persuasions, that once we develop that relationship, there is that understanding, and that yes, even though you may be from the East, I may be from the West, geographically on the world map, I can still help you, and I can still bring some change to your life, even though we may come from two different worlds. So I just wanted to add that piece for persons that may be thinking, oh, well, nobody can understand me because we're so different. Yeah.
Well, sometimes too, that difference can be beneficial because you get a perspective. I was thinking of Jason's perspective just then, the parent talking to the child. Sometimes as parents we need to understand how to listen and how to respond. We need to be equipped, and redefine that dynamic. You're talking to the child, oh, I wish you were my dad. Yeah, because you're a great guy, but there's that listening. How do we get then the parent-child, or even the husband, the wife, so that they can talk and they can listen and they don't take for granted that they understand that this other person is to be valued, is a valuable person?
It's a good question. I think we have to have the thought in our head first about, what is the other person going through, or what is it like to be the other person. I know that when I'm dealing with a 13 or 14-year-old in middle school, I think, what's it like for that child at home, at school? Like, what's their day look like? What must they be going through? And parents have a tough job. I mean, I get to be the good guy. I don't have to discipline and get them to do homework. But so it's a lot of times parents can have that difficult multi-role of, having to get things done and be the disciplinarian and the authoritarian. But, how friendly do you be and how to encourage them and stuff. It's finding that balance, and there's no handbook, unfortunately, on that. But when I've done a lot of sessions where I'll bring a child and a parent in together, and we'll talk through something because the child's asked me to help them, say something to the mom or dad. And, I'll listen and I'll hear what's being said, but then I'll usually reframe it or represent it to the other person and say, what I hear this person saying is they're afraid of this, or, and go, and that kind of gets to the heart of the person, and that can help.
Is that then part of the challenge that in every relationship, parent-child, there's not only the power aspect, but the sense of authority, the perceptions that may exist, even in the husband, the wife. He may think, well, she's the finance person, so she knows about the money. She may think, well, he's the profession in this area or whatever that is, so therefore he is. And one assuming has a particular assumption that redefines the relationship without understanding that it was a completely misunderstanding. I think you're the finance person, but the finance person thinks, I actually think that you know more about it because you have practical skills. Not quite communicating and sharing so that they understand each other's perspective. Same with the parent looking at the child and say, well, yeah, I'm the father, but man, you're amazing. I value. Talking to some, they say, is cheap, but isn't it really valuable?
Well, showing it as well is helpful too. Showing respect, showing appreciation, and because especially with parent and child relationships, you're modeling everything as well, right? They're learning from you how to talk about difficult things, that it's okay to talk about difficult things, and that things can be worked through together. So especially in that relationship, it's important to really hear from the child what's going on and help them find their answers as well.
Give this child a sense that you're valued, you're valuable. Speak your mind, listen.
And I always tell parents to ask first. Sometimes kids have great ways of solving problems that we've never thought of. And that gives you an idea of where they're at, what they're thinking, and what their kind of problem-solving abilities are. And sometimes they won't have anything, but sometimes they'll have really cool ways of dealing with things.
So words like being empowered, taking ownership, accepting responsibility. Right. Nice words to use, but do we employ them? All right. Final break, I think, to take in this segment. When we come back, could we ask a couple of things? And could we talk about are there ways that we could improve our relationships? It would seem obvious that if you have a good relationship, that it would be beneficial. But then, what are some of the other benefits of having a good relationships? And then, as we look at that, is it important, excuse me, to have that extended family and friends? Will they help or will they hinder? Do they take sides or are they supportive? Could we get into some of that? I know it's a bit, but who knows? I mean, it's only on Monday. All right, the world's problems solved in 90 seconds. Listen to our commercials. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
New name, new owner, new management. The TC Paint Shop is the authorized dealer for Sherwin-Williams in the Cayman Islands, and we are ready to serve your needs. We have got the very best quality makeup for your home and your commercial building. All at the TC Paint Shop is Sherwin-Williams paint. So does your home need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Does your office need a little makeup on it? Come and see us. Lipstick, eyeshadow, face mask, all Sherwin-Williams staff. 943-0565, 27 Godfrey Nixon Way. We are so looking forward to serving you soon.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom designs. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is our monthly Mental Health Matters. Building relationships as we talk about it at work and in our personal lives. Dr. Alexandra Borden, Dr. Cindy George, Ms. Heather Lockhart and Mr. Jason Jones joins us. And thank you very much. I'm hoping that as we have these public discussions, that more and more of us will look at the importance of our health and well-being. And as much as we build our financial wealth, we'll also appreciate it. Our true wealth is in our health in all aspects, and I really appreciate these monthly discussions. So as we're going to the break, I may have asked too many things, been a little bit, I don't know, how do you say, But anyway, we'll see if we get through. Who wants to jump in? Who remembers what I was asking first?
I'll jump in to start.
There you go, yeah. Mr. Jason.
So I was thinking about the ways to improve relationships, and again, I remember my very first week at community college when I was taking a human services course, and it was, everybody wanted to be in a profession of helping others. So they asked us some pretty important questions, and one of the things that came out of that was, if you want to be helpful to another human being, you have to work through your own stuff first. So you can't help someone with anger if you got your own anger issues. You can't help someone with grief if you have your own grief issues, because it's too triggering. Like, we get too defensive and too can't deal with it. And so I think my approach, has been, people, we get out of ourselves by helping others. And if you want better relationships, be helpful as much as you possibly can. But to do that, you have to polish up your own mirrors to reflect back the beauty of humanity.
Oh, deep.
Mic drop.
But no, Dr. One. The idea, though, that we live in a community and we recognize that sometimes we go to our friends, our best friend, or sometimes it's our siblings, our best friends, or co-workers. Are they helpful or are they hindering? That social support system that we can draw on when something goes awry. We've moved to a new place, we've accepted a new job, some mishap has occurred.
I'm going to go with the typical psychology answer with
Yeah.
it depends.
Depends.
It depends on the person, it depends on the relationship, right? And I think that's one thing that I wanted to make sure that we did talk about is kind of seeing if a relationship is working for us, right? So a lot of times when you move places, the focus will be on building relationships, trying new activities, reaching out to new people, learning about the culture that's there. But with each relationship, and a lot of what I see on island is making time for relationships, because it does take, you have to be in a place where you can settle to speak to someone and actually listen to them, right? So making time for fun, that will help us grow ourselves, making time for relationships as well. But also knowing when something's not working for you, whether it's friend, family, coworker. Obviously, if you have to work with them, you have to follow the appropriate, procedures at work. But in personal life, and I think a lot of times people come in for therapy thinking we're going to fix all the relationships. It's not always that, right? So sometimes if someone is taking too much or someone is not being respectful of boundaries, then it might be that we will be looking at letting go of relationships as well. And that's an important thing to think about too. If and this is where I think it's important to listen to your gut, listen to people around you. A lot of times, if a client comes in with concerns about a friend, I'll be like, okay, what does your mom think about that person? What do your friends think of that person? Because I've not met them, so to try to get a gauge of what's going on. I'm always mindful other people will have their own opinions, but to try to get a better read on what's happening. Because sometimes there are going to be people that we have to set firm boundaries with. We try that, and if they still push it, then we have to let them go.
So making
and that's
time.
okay too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come back to that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't want to end a relationship or not pursue it. And it can be just you meet a friend and you go, oh, we don't click. And or you may have been good friends for a long time, but circumstances change.
Yeah, people grow, people change, and sometimes we get more distance. So we've all got probably best friends that we disconnected with from a few years ago. But some of them, you get back with them, and it's like no time has passed. And that's okay too. So relationships will look different when you, like I've lived a couple different countries, a couple different places. And so relationships look different when you're living close to someone or when you're far apart. And so, they change and they adapt, and that's okay.
And it depends on where you are as well. Are you studying, just recently married, new children? Did you get a new dog?
Exactly.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And your relationships can change too when you, for instance, get married. Your family may not be able to come and go with the key to your house. So the boundaries can change as you go through different phases of your life as well. Or if you take in a parent when your parent's aging. So, again, these relationships are fluid and they can sometimes take renegotiating.
So the idea of time, Dr. Borden said making time. I'm trying to remember how my friend phrased it. We get busy at life, and so you don't get time.
Yeah, well, and that's where planning a date night can be helpful. And that's something I'll often talk to either couples or families about. Families will do like a family game night or family dinner.
Right.
But that ensures that there's time set aside. But just like I think Ms. Jason, Ms. Heather had said, it's important to see what works for different people. It might be letting each person pick something different each week. So it can be flexible. It might be that you guys go to your same restaurant, every week at the same time, and you get to know the waiter and everyone knows what you want as you walk in. Or it might be that you guys will be trying new things. New experiences in particular release more dopamine and actually can help to build the relationship more. I tell people either you have a new hobby or at least probably a good story if it didn't work out. So, so those kinds of things can be helpful as well, especially as you're getting older and you want to both grow, not only as individuals but as a couple as well.
Well, something that we hear in relationships, you start out, if I perhaps, take Ms. Heather's first example, you can't wait to see the person. You're away from each other and everything's great. And then over time, but then advance. The children are grown. You're now the two you left, and maybe it's the same home. And wow, it's not even big. It was too small when everyone was there, and that was too. It's not big enough because it's just the two of you, right? As that change, do you want that person that you're now with after 40 years to be the person you still want to be with, or do you look and not recognize each other?
I think we have to step away from what we think relationships should look like and be open to new things. I've got a friend's parents who sold their house and they're going to go travel for a year. You know, there's so many different options. There's so many things that we think we should do or we have to do because that's what's expected. The grandparents have to have the big house. Not always.
Not always, huh?
Not always. Christmas has to be at mom's house. Not always either. You know, stepping aside from some of there are going to be some heartfelt traditions that you do want to hold on to. But the flexibility and adaptability can be helpful. And there can be new traditions and new ways of doing things too.
It's important to remember that we are responsible for our own happiness. This is a real truth to think about at whatever stage in life. So we don't look to the marriage to keep us fascinated and happy. We ourselves have to be fascinating and happy. So do we want to take a new CrossFit class? Do we want to learn how to salsa dance? What is it that we're doing to keep ourselves interesting and fascinating? Fascinating with ourselves. Do we need a new hobby? Do we need to find more connections out there socially? Social connection is a part of longevity. This is proven over and over again in studies. So we don't want to look at our partner to say, what are you doing to keep us interesting? What are you doing to keep our marriage happy? What are you doing for yourself?
Right.
So you want to look at yourself if you're a recent empty nester, to put your own self at the center of your own life and say, what am I doing that I want to do? And it may cross over with your partner, but it's okay to have different interests too. You may find that many of them are meshed, but you also might want to find a volunteer organization. You might want to get involved in gardening or whatever it is, or walking dogs with the Humane Society, whatever it looks like. Make sure that you're doing the things that really nurture you and become more interesting to yourself.
Okay, with that then, and I'm mindful of the time, but I was just going to joke and say that a friend looked around at us the other day and said, I got to find some better friends. As we get older and our lives change. But this idea of longevity, the more interests you have, it's true. So,
and social connections. Yeah. Connections with other human beings. It could be church, could be any other social connection.
Now, with that, and the notion that let's go to the married couple. The children grow, they're off to university, they're now married, there's grandchildren. What is it, American term? Empty nest. So you're the two of you are there now by yourselves. The interest that the husband has and the wife has can be similar, can be different. How do you ensure that the interests that are different don't divide them? The interests that they have in common unifies them. Is there a flip of a coin, a magic switch? I mean,
I'm going to go back to Dr. George. Communication. To keep those lines of communication open. About your time. Time is finite. We all have the same amount of time every day. So talking about your time, and how you want to share it and spend it, and keeping those lines of communication open.
So if I were to then to ask and wish to generalize, it's good to do things differently. He can go do stuff, she goes do stuff, but they do stuff together.
It's okay to be individuals.
Yes. But still be together, but be individuals. That's important.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Okay. And I always say to my couples, I know we're on time, but you're a couple, but you're individuals as well. And I believe if you're happy with yourself as an individual, it contributes positively and to that healthy couple relationship. So definitely finding the self, we call it, in addition to the couple side of you. Absolutely.
I like to say that a relationship should be 200%. You need two people that are each 100% a person. Their partner shouldn't complete you. They should complement you and add to your life.
I should really define that. Because what he heard when he got married, a man isn't complete until he's married, then he's finished. That's all it is. No, listen, laughter is good medicine. But I like the idea. Still find yourself, do your thing. So let's come back to what I was saying earlier. If you give of yourself 100%, be of service, the other does the same, then we're there.
You come together.
I've heard another expression as well, that it should be a team sport. So there might be different interests, but as long as you guys have goals together as well, that will help to keep you moving forward. So it's good to have individual goals, but things that you're working on together as well. And even when especially if there's going to be some kind of discussion or conflict, knowing that it's each of you versus the two of you together versus the problem can be another way of seeing it as well, as opposed to letting it divide you.
To you against the world, as it were.
Yes. Yeah. Make sure it fits financially with your budgets together and things like that. I'm not going to go out and decide to become a private pilot tomorrow and spend all my weekends flying around, that kind of thing. So we'll talk about it together.
Yeah. And those are, I think, things that we probably will understand if we are willing to communicate. She wants to buy the sailboat because she always was interested in sailing. Can they afford it? But what time would it take?
Right.
It's not a midlife crisis. It's just a time in life where they're making some adjustments.
Yeah.
Jason, behind every good man there's a better woman.
Yep, I'm just going with that, and I'm sticking with that.
Sounds original. No, well, listen, thank you all very much. If I could, maybe just quickly go around the table and closing thoughts, anything you wish to share. Start with you, Mr. Jones, and then Dr. Bond, of course, good to invite as well.
Relationships are one of the most challenging things, I think, that we are going to face and bite off as human beings. And, we're going to have various struggles with it. I haven't learned more about I've learned more about myself being in a relationship than when I was alone. So, that tells you something. We're always going to have struggles with them, and various levels of, each owning a part to it. So, I'm a big believer in counseling and mentorship and guidance and whatever. So when you're struggling, sometimes it's our own brain that's working against us. So it's really good to get that out with another human being sometimes and seek some feedback and input to help you make those decisions on what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll keep mine brief. Just stay mindful and present with your relationships. Don't get too stuck on what they were, what they're supposed to be. Just stay in the present, what they could be, and renegotiate them if necessary.
And I just wanted to add that in relationships, it's all about being open to the experience, because you experience each other, you experience yourself. And if you're open to that, that makes it even easier to then work together. Communication, can't say it enough. just open with the communication and just be honest with your partner. Yeah.
I will share, if anyone is interested in further reading, The 5 Love Languages is one of my favorite ways of understanding relationships and the ways that we give love and that we receive love. And Dr. Gary Chapman has it on and all the different relationships that we've talked about as well. All of our information will be available on drbodden.com. There's no pictures right now, but bear with me. All of our information will be there, as well as some additional reading. If anyone is interested in counseling, there's also free services available through the government at the Counseling Center, 949-8789. Of course, in any kind of emergency, the hospital is available as well through the emergency room or 911.
Well, thank you all very much. And I'm very, very mindful that as we look at the idea of relationships and our health, increasingly the resources are here. I'm really grateful that the government has the counseling services there free of charge, and more of our people are looking at it. So thanks thank you very, very much. Getting a bit choked up thinking about relationships. Be the relationship you want to become.
I like that.
Yes.
Good,
Imagine that on a Monday.
On fire.
No, man, it is awesome to know that we have a society that recognizes the importance of our health and well-being. Trust that you guys have a very productive day, week, month, and as we approach the end of the year, that we start to see how wonderful our social support system is here in this country. Hey, to our listeners, go to drbodden.com. Certainly look forward to the monthly Mental Health Matters. Now, when we come back, Mr. Denniston Tibbetts, the president of the Cayman Seafarers Association, sits in our studio. Now, you know a wealth of knowledge and counsel. Well, we get a chance to benefit from Mr. Denniston. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Depending on the severity of a storm, it is possible that your home's plumbing or septic tank could be damaged. Hazard Management Cayman Islands recommends using a garbage bag to line at least 2 5-gallon containers with tight-fitting covers to use as a temporary toilet. Be sure to include personal sanitation supplies in your emergency kit, such as moist towelettes, feminine hygiene products, garbage bags, and rubber gloves. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Did you know that human rights in the Cayman Islands only apply vertically? Which means that the rights listed in the Bill of Rights can be enforced against the government only and not against private individuals. It should be noted, however, the government will have to take account of the human rights set out in the Constitution when passing local laws. Human rights are the essential rights and freedoms that belong to all individuals, regardless of their nationality or citizenship. Brought to you by Celebrate Cayman in celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Cayman Islands Constitution.
For the health of it, Radio Cayman's premier health show is brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, Holy Cross Hospital,
Cayman Fertility Center,
and EatingClean.com.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Rising Stars Dance Ministry is proud to present the annual Dance for Christ, Saturday, November 16th at the Church of God Chapel Family Life Center, featuring visiting U.S. artist Malia Bailey, UCCI Dance Group, Dream Chasers, JJZ Dance Ministry, Dance Unlimited, J Prophet, Famous Cousins, Cernan Biblical, Victory Tabernacle Dance Group, Christ Cathedral Youth Choir. MC for this event will be Cheryl T. and many more local talents. Tickets are only $10 pre-sold, $15 at the gate, and children under 12 are only $5. Tickets are on sale now at Funky Times and Christ Cathedral. Dance for Christ is proudly sponsored by Burger King, Domino's, Wendy's, Link International, Funky Times, and Radio Cayman. This November 16th. Don't miss out on Dance for Christ. Brought to you by the Rising Stars Dance Ministry.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon, welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And now we have the wonderful pleasure of welcoming into our studio as President of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Mr. Denison Tibbetts. And certainly is always grateful, sir, to share with you and have you, inform and invite our public about all the good goings on at the Seafarer. So making the week better, Mr. Denison. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. It's always good that that you're so accommodating when I request to be on. I just have I was going to say a few things, but it's quite a few things that I want to talk about. Mostly about the seafarers.
Well, anytime, anything, anywhere that we can be of any value.
Yeah, thank you. I think the last time I was on, I spoke about having invited the governor and the Speaker of the House and also a couple of ministers to the September social that we had. Well, he attended, so did Mr. McKeever Bush, Chris, I keep saying Chris McTaggart. Is it Chris McTaggart? Is his name? Roy yeah. McTaggart, Austin Harris, and Kenneth Bryan. And we had a fantastic night, and as a result of that, the governor had promised Mr. Makiba, who is the patron saint of the seafarers, the governor had promised me in front of him to host like 300 people from the seafarers down at Government House. And he has come through with that, so we're making arrangements to go visit with him at Government House, or Governor's residence rather, on January 23rd next year. So that has come to fruition. The next meeting that we're going to have is the 19th of this month, and we're introducing a new thing. We usually have a little raffle. We give people tickets. It doesn't cost them anything. We give them the tickets free, and people donate prizes. This time we're having a Dutch auction, and it's going to be conducted by one of our senior seafarers. And I hate to say this, but they're auctioning dinner for two with me. I don't know how that's going to work out. But
that'll be fun, man. Now, I guess some people know how the Dutch auction works, but how does it? Because I'm not quite sure.
What the definition of a Dutch auction is not really how it's conducted here, but the definition is that you have a preconceived idea of the cost, and then you work down instead of up.
Okay.
But we reversed it, so we're gonna say, well, not letting the cat out of the bag, but Niels Godfrey, who is very good at that, because from Lions days we used to do it. He has volunteered to do it again, and the highest bidder, I suppose.
So, like in a regular auction,
but a regular auction, you know, the bidder, the we call it, or he calls it a Dutch auction, but a real Dutch auction is, like I said, you have a preconceived idea of the total cost, and then you work yourself down.
Okay.
In the auction that we're doing is that you work yourself up.
Okay. So in a regular auction, we're selling this item, $5.
Yeah.
Can I hear it?
I mean, it'll be more things. We got donations from Uncle Bill and about 4 or 5 different things, plus dinner with me and dinner with Andrew Eaton, who is the secretary, and of course, you know, both our wives died, so it shouldn't be a problem with wives coming in and saying, well, you can't go to dinner with my husband.
I think we could offer another prize, a day with Miss Susan in the studio.
That might be a good idea. If she's in agreement, I can write her name down.
Yeah, you want to see magic at work.
We have to take a picture.
Yeah, I think that's a, I'm sure we can arrange that. I really came out would be accommodating. Okay. I can put her out there now, and you know, they can get any of the various shifts that she does for those who are super early. Come in and get the morning prayers with her. You know, we can work it out. We can even allow them to bring.
She's a Braca like me, so Bracas are known as versatile people.
But despite that, we won't hold it against her.
Despite that.
What is it you tell us? You know, every Braca is a Cayman, but never Cayman is a Braca.
Exactly. You got that right.
Yes, sir. No, Mr. Dench, always appreciative.
So the next meeting is on November the 19th, and that's when we'll have the regular raffle, but then we're gonna have this.
Okay, and just for people, then, if I have my dates correctly, not this month, well, not today, but Monday from now is the public holiday, and then it's the Tuesday following, so a week after. Yeah. So we got tomorrow, 2 Tuesdays tomorrow. The meeting. The
third Tuesday, right. Tomorrow, the first Tuesday of the month is always council meeting, and then the third Tuesday is always the general meeting.
Okay.
And remember, the governor is entertaining 300, and we got all the names already. Because if your name is not on the list, you won't be admitted. Those policemen down there are gonna throw you out. That's next year, January, the 23rd.
Which is somewhere near the holiday in January, I think, week before or something. So. All right, there we go.
Incidentally, you mentioned the Poppy Day thing.
Yes, sir.
As usual, every year, the Sunday before the Monday, they have the laying of the wreaths and all that. So we always participate in that.
At the cemetery.
Actually, we have 2. I do the one at the cemetery, and the vice president does the one down at the Seaman's Monument, right down at the almost to the water's edge there.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be a pretty good one. Incidentally, you know, Saturday was an extremely busy day for me because I don't want to say it like how someone has said it to me, but what people have said to me is that seafarers are dropping down like flies. I had to attend and give 2 tributes to 2 different men, seafarers, at 2 different funerals, one at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and one at 3 o'clock. So I don't want the last seafarer to go before we are totally recognized by government. And because, you know, we played, like your dad, my dad, and myself, not you, but
no, not me.
we played a significant role in actually building this country, you know. I was talking to someone a while ago, and he was mentioning that a power from West Bay, actually. Me and him were together in Brooklyn. He mentioned about the allotments, you know, and that's what people, people, he said his mother had bought him land that he didn't even know about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when he came home, he had 400 pounds, because it was pound, shilling, pence those days, and he was able to buy a car, you know. So there's so many things that were accomplished and were built because of the mothers and the wives were rather frugal, because they made that $100 stretch like $1,000 today.
But something to not to put you off, but perhaps for us to start to appreciate those allotments. That money that came home was, well, I heard it put this way just again recently, was sort of the start of the financial services sector.
Exactly.
And when you think about the government savings bank and you recognizing the importance, it may have been $100 a month.
Well, I always say that the financial institutions took what we started and ran with it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Not that I'm in total agreement with some of the banks, because you got to go through all of these red tapes, you know.
We should have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man.
Incidentally, I was listening on the way here, I was listening to the panel that was on before.
Yes, sir.
About, I think it's Mental Health Week or month.
We do a monthly show
Yeah.
called Mental Health Matters.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Alexandra Borden has been most instrumental in not only facilitating but assembling a team of healthcare sort of professionals, and it's been helpful. Just the conversations, but hopefully getting us, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
And, someone mentioned behind every successful man there's
a better woman.
A better woman. And I tell you, I can vouch for that, because
there you go.
My mother raised me the right way, and then when I got married, my wife took over, and she kind of finalized the deal. Unfortunately, she passed away, but not before she had molded me into the person I am today, you know. And I'm grateful.
Yes, sir. And as you shared that, I think some of you said earlier, the mothers and the wives, the seafarers were over there. It was difficult and dangerous lives that they lived at times, right? But they sent back, and what was accomplished with that money that came back home? It showed the prudence. It shows the fiscal responsibility. It was a great example, but it was a great sacrifice as well.
Yeah. A lot of, I need to talk about this too. I was recently invited to attend a conference that Mr. had. Now that is a
Vista.
Vista, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And I think it started in America, but the chapter that we have here is an offshoot of the registry, the one that Joel Walton,
Martin Authority?
Macy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, of course, I had to choose a time when I asked to be heard, and I mentioned that before that I didn't know anything about Mr. or whatever.
Vista, yeah.
And Vista, and it's amazing the amount of women in the maritime field right now.
Yes, sir.
Lawyers and
yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was privileged to meet about 5 different ladies who were chief officers on cargo ships.
Yes, sir.
And they had, most of them had their captain's license. One of them said she hoped to become captain of the ship next year.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. I mean, it was so enlightening for me to learn all of this, because I when it came into the office, you know, the young lady told me, I said, what is this? You know, I was and I wasn't playing. I did not know about it, but I'm glad that I was able to attend, and I learned so much, you know, at the conference.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because I think that there's so much that not only transpires in our society, not just the conferences, they're professionals.
Mhm.
And like you, I think we champion our mothers, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, and the like, because we see in them not just a great intellect, but a great resolve and a resilience. And unfortunately, in this community, we don't sing praises loud enough, often enough.
About women.
Yeah, and
women's roles.
Yeah,
in
and
our
people
lives.
don't see it, right? And you mentioned wisdom, that notion that, likewise, even in the aviation aspect, but the maritime in particular, the amount of women who are at the helm and working directly on board the vessels, but also they're the lawyers and the financiers and the people that wasn't for
they
them.
have maritime lawyers now.
Yeah.
And they had a panel with 5 of them, and they were all maritime lawyers, you know, from different parts of the world, from Germany. There were a lot of Africans there from Zambia and Ghana. Unbelievable. I mean, I had to plead ignorance because I was ignorant of the fact that all these things existed, you know. But I'm very glad that I was invited, because, like I told the president here of the chapter here, Sharice Aman, I said, you're going to be sick and tired of me calling or emailing you, because I want to learn more and get more involved.
Yeah, man. Well, likewise, man. And I'm hoping that as a result of that, and I'll be careful because I don't want to say it out of being ill-informed, but I keep sharing with our students, you can get a law degree and not go before the courts. You can become an accountant, an economist. You can get degrees in these areas, but work in a completely different sector.
I learned that they actually have a university in Sweden. Well, you sound like you're very learned.
No, I've made a point to, but go ahead, sorry. Because it excites me, sir.
Because and I told them, we concentrate more not only on our membership, but we help the HSA,
right?
You know, with scholarships for doctors and nurses, and also we just purchased a piece of equipment for them, you know. But now we can kind of diversify. Since I've been president, we've changed the rules. We now have, I think it's eight members who are actually children of seafarers. My 2 daughters are actually members, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't have any sons, so. But I'm grateful for my 2 daughters. You know.
You were saying about the university in...
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that, you know, at some point in time, I'm going to try and invite some people and the association that I had sponsor them, because we do everything else, so, you know. And we do everything for HSA. Maybe we can diversify a little bit now and go into the real crux of maritime.
But this is the beauty. Well,
and they don't have to be on ship. You like I said, you had all these lawyers, women, who actually work, and it was, some of the speakers were just amazing. There was a lady named Colleen, I think was her name, from some part in the United States. I have so many cards, you see, that it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was trying to if I can remember the presenters, but I'll speak. But as you look for that, as we're speaking to the president of the Cayman Seafarers Association, Mr. Denison Tibbetts, something that I know many of us really, really value and we hold dear is that not only the seafarers, when they were active duty, they were there, but right here today, their continued service, sacrifice, and contribution to our society. You referenced the partnership with the Health Services Authority, the continued sponsorship of our physicians to continue education, the scholarship opportunities, the notion that you still, as a body collective, you're still contributing to our society.
That's not early to say. I hope the seafarers don't pass away before government recognizes the full and appreciate the full knowledge of what we as a group of men did. Because make nobody fool you, you know. while we actually had a good time when we went ashore and all that.
No, you didn't. Don't make about that.
but on board ship, it was work, and it had a structured thing. But it was good because you learned responsibility and like I said, the ladies, the women home, the wives and the mothers, they were very frugal, and they did things way beyond what we thought that they were going to do with the money. We thought that,
Well, it's something that I don't say this trying to stir in the pots or offend anyone or anything like that. And it's not that I have any particular agenda or even that I know. But our maritime history, the heritage that we have, and the seemingly difficulty that a Caymanian would have qualifying as a sea captain today, and the seemingly inability to do so on shore from here, would have to go elsewhere. I think it's perhaps a little slight against our
well, it is in a sense, but you see, what has happened is that with the evolution of all the other aspects of life in Cayman, young people are not choosing maritime occupations. And government had started a maritime thing many years ago down at Rackle Canal, and it just petered off because nobody actually took the time to learn navigation. Well, nowadays, I mean, once you have proper common sense, you don't really need. I mean, when I was doing my flight lessons, I had to learn how to navigate in the air. But nowadays, with the advent of GPS and all that kind of thing, you just plug it in and
not the same one.
It's not the same because my dad, my brother still has my dad's sextant that he would pull the sun down and show us how he got where, even when it was no sun.
But you see, this is and the reason why I say that is that I think that there is that great interest still amongst our people.
Well, I would hope that it is so, but unfortunately they're not coming forward.
But I think it's probably easier to do certain things if you'll guide me, because my view on education is maybe a little bit different from some people. If you're a plumber or electrician, I still want you to be academically qualified, however you term that, so that you know more than taking two fittings and putting them together and then putting the cement there and tying it together, or twisting two wires if you're an electrician. We seem to believe that that's all we should be and no thought into anything else. I go beyond that because our people are smart.
I go beyond that too because take for instance myself. I remember when I came to this country to live, as a graduate of the University of Technology, I was the only qualified draftsman here, architectural draftsman. And I did my drawings from a set square, from a regular drawing table.
A T-square and
a T-square and a set square and a repeatograph, which is a pen that you use. You mentioned that to people who do drawing nowadays. Say, well, if you can't do it on a computer, then you're out of touch. So that's the advent of all these new things that have come about, and people. I really think, including Lions, and if they hear me say this, it'll probably kill me. But with the advent of all these things, it encourages laziness, because you sit behind a desk looking at a computer and you can just do about everything with it, including sending something off to people or whatever. And the advent of even the this is kind of off the subject, but even the planning department here, you can't go in and submit a plan anymore. You got to do it all through a computer.
Convenience can breed complacency, but
that's what I feel.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes down to, and I think that's part of the reason. I don't believe you're off base. Why, when we look at, say, the maritime, I think to some of my classmates who had little or no interest in the academics in school, who would rather be out fishing, right, or fishing, if you let me say that.
Fishing,
out fishing, right. But they understand how to repair the boat engine, how to put a gel coat back. They understand the boat. They understand everything else. We just need to find a way to embrace them. But we'll take somebody who has no clue about, whether that's a barker's key or a piece of driftwood, right, that is just floating somewhere because the bamboo washed them off, and give them all sorts of praises. is to developing the only resource that is here.
Yeah.
Now, some hear me say that now, and they'll obviously misinterpret it. But you have to value your own. You have to respect your history, and this is why, Mr. Dennison, every opportunity that we can afford for us as a people to be mindful of the contributions and the continuing contributions of our seafarers. Without them, where would we be as a people? Can I invite you to share with us, sir, after we come back from our news break? And I always enjoy your company. I always learn a lot. I'm always, mindful of
Just
how
before
much.
we go, the lady's name I was looking for is Carlene Walker. She is the Chief Evolution Officer at the Goodwill Maritime, and she's a Goodwill Maritime Ambassador. She's from Connecticut. As a matter of fact, we were talking, and she's actually from a place near to the university that my oldest daughter went to. So we had a little common.
There you go. See how small the world is?
Yes, it is. But she was dynamic.
Man, you would be amazed. All right. Susan, standing by if you want to call and share your lunch with her. No, that's good. We're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access to information.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team. Today's biggest news.
Road Safety Week and the corresponding conference wrapped up on Friday. The National Roads Authority spearheaded the week's activities. Hundreds of delegates attended the conference, where they heard from both local and international speakers. NRA Acting Managing Director Edward Howard said road safety isn't just an issue for police or the National Roads Authority. He says road safety is everybody's concern. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, United States President Donald Trump has threatened to cut federal funding for the wildfires sweeping California in a Twitter spat with the state's governor. Nearly 100,000 acres have been destroyed by wildfires in recent weeks, and thousands have been forced from their homes. Mr. Trump blamed Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, saying he had done a terrible job of forest management. Several of this year's major wildfires have burned in unforested areas. And McDonald's has fired its chief executive, Steve Easterbrook, after he had a relationship with an employee. The U.S. fast food giant said the relationship was consensual, but Mr. Easterbrook had violated company policy and shown poor judgment. The British businessman, who earned nearly $16 million last year, is due to receive 26 weeks of severance. Mr. Easterbrook, 52, who is divorced, first worked for McDonald's in 1993 as a manager in London before working his way up the company. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Having a wonderful, wonderful company of Mr. Dennison Tibbetts, the President of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, and I think, it is my perspective that there are, thankfully, a number of us in the community, not just through whatever sponsorship or support, but just hopefully just through our share being, demonstrate that we are grateful and have a healthy respect for our seafarers. And
I just hope that the powers that be, the government, that is, recognize us more, because that is mostly what the older seafarers talk to me about, you know.
Mm.
Well, government don't recognize what we did, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And truthfully, yeah, even in tributes I give at funerals, that's part of what I say, you know. That, but our part in history will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
it just needs to be more enhanced by the powers that be.
I think, you know, sometimes we don't, as a people, we don't respect nor recognize our own. Maybe it's too close to hand. You can't see it because you've seen it all along and no longer see it for what it was and what it is. But you were sharing with us, Mr. Dennis, I mean, there's a lot going on, and the social, 2 Tuesdays away, tomorrow, and then the one following is
on the 19th.
What time of evening? Is that a Seafarers Hall?
Yeah, it's at 7:30.
7:30 in the evening. All right.
Oh, and I forgot to mention this. This is one of the important things we do every year. I think last year I was on about the December, the Christmas raffle that we have.
Yeah, sorry.
The books are all out, and we're doing pretty good with the sales. First prize is 5,000, second prize 3,000, and third prize 1,000. And we have 6 $100 prizes, and we have a lot of sponsors. Graciously, we accept all the sponsorship we can get. We write for sponsorship. Of course, a lot of the service clubs, they send to us for sponsorship. You know, like the Lions, we give them an amount every year for the Delano Hislop thing. Pace or whatever.
The annual Pace, prostate and colon cancer and testicle cancer.
Right.
Another great initiative and a good partnership. We do have a caller online, Mr. Denson.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon, friend. How are you today, man?
Okay, good afternoon to Mr. Denson Tibbet.
Good afternoon, young man. How are you?
Okay.
What can we do you for this afternoon?
Yes, does the Seafarers Association have any concerns about the cruise ship port being built in Georgetown?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. Just today, the secretary of the association had a call from, what's the name of the company that's supposed to be building Vernon Isle? And they're having an audience with me and some of the council members tomorrow at 11 to bring us up to par on what's happening. Of course, we have our own views, but I think before we hear what they have to present, it would be futile of me to even say what we think, you know. But it's funny that you mentioned that, because we talk about it individually, but that company, they took the initiative to call us and make an appointment. So the powers that be in that company will meet with us tomorrow at 11, and then we'll have a result afterwards, I suppose. But it's good that you asked, because you know, some of our seafarers, like Captain Paul, who has a lot more experience than me when it comes to the seas, even though I went to sea, but not long like him. And you know, he's against it, so I won't commit my association to say we're against it, because there's so much more that we need to know. But it's a good question.
Do you believe that the research that they say they have done concerning building the port, do you believe that that is more accurate than what Captain Paul and them are saying?
But it's not a matter of. Have you read the report? Because you can't form an opinion unless you have first-hand knowledge of things. I know before I even became president of the association, I was part of a group that tried in 2013 with the same proposal that they have now. And the present government shut it down because they said it wasn't feasible. But now they come back with a different view. But I'll tell you this much. They have done so much overseas research. People coming down, scientists, maritime scientists come down and in talking with people like Kem Jackson, he knows the moment. I mean, he's been on the seas all his life, and he's much older than I am, but a very learned individual. And he says the shifting of the seas will be so changed that the sand on 7 Mile Beach will soon become obsolete. But who's to tell? But I don't want to commit myself or the association to answering a question in a negative or the positive manner. We have an open mind, and tomorrow after we finish what we talk with them, then we can form a personal opinion. But I thank you for your call, and you have another question?
Yeah, what do you think about the sea surge in that area after the dock is built?
The sea what?
The sea surge potential.
Well, it's like everything else. I remember when I first came here, Mr. Berkeley Bush was doing the first dock, and everybody wanted to kill him or throw him off the sea, but that dock has proven itself worthy of construction for so many years. So maybe it's the same thing with the dock. Who's to tell? But I mean, I cannot condemn it because I don't really know that much. What I can tell you is that they have been doing surveys for the last 15 years on that particular dock. I mean, the Department of Gina Petrie and them, they have, I think the guy who's in charge of it is Tim Austin. They have copies of things that were done by Avco, I think is the name of the company. And then all of the other marine scientists have come and done different things for the different governments, and it's all the result is always the same. That they recommend, yes, they go ahead and do it, but you see, the dock entails a lot more than just the maritime aspect of it. It's the social, the financial, all the other aspects have been bottled up into one. And is it good for Cayman financially? Is it good for Cayman as far as the tourism trade is concerned? So there's so many things that one has to consider. You just can't come to an opinion and say, listen, not because Captain Paul or Mr. Kem Jackson said so, it's so, because that is not the way life is.
If they do go ahead and build a dock,
my friend, let me tell you, I told the people that the powers that be in the what's the name of the people who were organizing the people to sign so they could get a referendum. I told them, I said, listen, there's nothing that you people can do, and I do believe that, because it's a foregone conclusion that this government is going to do the dock irrespective, and the Premier actually said that in the last debate. It don't matter what the result is going to be, they're going to find some way to offshoot it, undo the... I mean, that's my personal opinion, but I'm not telling you to condemn them solely because you think it's not right. You have to know the facts. And if you haven't read those reports, then you just can't go by hearsay.
Well, I have another question.
I'll see if I can answer it.
They said they need 10,609 no votes to stop it, right? Which would be 51%.
50% plus 1.
Yeah, 50% plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they get 10,574 no votes? Will that still stop it?
Well, I don't want to prejudge what government has, but I'll tell you this much. I do believe, and I honestly believe this, having read all of the documents that I have found available, that irrespective of what I mean, it goes back. You remember when they had this commission thing about the one man, one vote thing? I mean, it is geared that government will always prevail, whether they're talking about. I mean, these are only my opinions. So when you try to pin me down, get my opinion, that don't mean that it's law.
I appreciate you sharing this one. And I think as Mr. Dennison is alluded to, maybe pick up that conversation at a time. Yeah, thanks for your thoughts. All right, but Mr. Dennison, I think the caller is demonstrating that we as a people have great respect for the experience as well as expertise, and maybe my inference in him asking you in your capacity as a seafarer, your perspective, is because...
well, I certainly value Captain Paul's talking about the subject, and also Mr. Kim Jackson's, But because these people called and took the initiative to talk to us about it, that means they want some more information from us as seafarers.
Well, it could be that too, yeah. Or it could be they look into, sphere opinion and look politically correct and all kinds of things.
That's why I was trying to tell the caller that, I don't really want to form an opinion without knowing all the facts. Yeah. It's difficult. It's a difficult decision.
It is.
A lot of people say, they only want money in this, and they already got their cut out of it. And I don't believe in judging people like that.
No.
Because that judge not that he be not judged has been my motto all through life.
Judge ye lest not be. Yeah.
So it's a very technical thing. I tell you that much.
Well, it is, I think, something that, and I don't want to belabor it, but as you shared, it is where, as a people, if we can draw on experience and expertise. You referenced Mr. Cam quickly references Professor Roberts, who, from Louisiana State, came and did the study, and here are the things. If we don't draw on the experiences of our people, both the empirical as well as the anecdotal, if we don't start to listen and look at, well, what are we doing now? How is that going to affect down the road? Not just the cost.
That's what I was saying. There's so many aspects of this dock. It's not only the maritime section of it. It's the tourism, the financial. It's all these bottled up into one.
There's the money, there's the people, there's the environment. There are all these things.
Judging the ministers or the powers that be about them already got money in the pocket and all that is totally wrong, because I do not believe that is so. But and like I said, judge not that ye be not judged.
Your comment, and I think it's well founded given the Premier's statements in the Legislative Assembly. We gotta go ahead with this. Your view, irrespective, right? Yeah. Some have shared, well, does that fly in the face of democracy, or is it, as some have said, listen, what is it that we will quote a particular, well-respected politician today? The people have a say, but the government will have its way. Is that what it comes down to? That it isn't.
It's amazing how we have strayed from seafarers, but anyway.
Did we, sir?
You're worse than the caller when it comes to trying to pin me down.
No. No, I won't do that. I forgive me.
But the thing about it, right? Life is life. Life is what you make of it. Yeah. If you make it bad, it's going to be bad. If you make it good, it's going to be good. Yeah. And in their opinion, they think that the dock is good for people, good for the country. My opinion personally might be different, as is yours or other people.
Yes, sir.
But we just have to wait until the whole thing comes together and see what happens.
Well,
but the important point is that committee who got all the signatures, they have triggered a government. I mean a people's initiated referendum. What the result now is. That's another story.
Well, I guess maybe as we go to the break, so we can kind of regroup, is then for us as a people, as registered voters, is to come out on that day, as His Excellency the Governor has shared, and vote. Put your vote down so your vote is counted. Exactly. Whatever column that is in, yes or no, and make your mark, as it were. All right, let's take the break, regroup, and you come back, then you can put us back on the path of the seafarers as we were talking about.
Okay.
All right, let's do that. Stay tuned, please. When we come back, we'll continue talking to Mr. Dennison.
Ambitious, determined, beautiful, and unapologetically uncompromising. You have set the bar high. Now let High Fashion and Design Studio take you to the next level. Full service hair and nail salon carrying the top designer brands. Calvin Klein, 9 West. Shoes, clothing, accessories, quality dressmaking, tailoring, and custom design. High Fashion and Design Studio, located in Cayman Trade Center, 199 Eastern Avenue, across from Bananas Restaurant. Call 945-4415 to book your high fashion and design experience today. Be bold, be true, be you.
Do you know any young person between the age of 10 and 25 with proven success in the areas of business, academics, career, sports, culture, or community service? Here's your chance to recognize their achievements by nominating them for the Proud of Them Awards. To play your part in honoring our community's most extraordinary youth, simply visit www.proudofthem.com or www.education.gov.ky to find the nomination instructions and details. Nominations are open now and close on November 20th. Join us in inspiring our youth to reach higher. Brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture, and Lands.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
Give me Jesus in the morning. For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name.
Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Denison Tibbetts for sitting with us. And I think, sir, your diplomacy is very evident as the expertise and experience. So
Well, like they all say, my mom will never raise no fool.
You were born at night, but not last night.
You know what I mean? I was born at night, actually.
That's what you told me.
Yes. Oh, you remember?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I have a guy that was born the same 9th of March, but he always reminds me, he say, you born for me.
What are you trying to say? You older than him?
By a couple of hours. Yeah.
No, man. But
anyway, I just like to thank you so much for allowing me to come this afternoon.
Sir. Yes.
And if I can recap a few dates, with your permission, of course.
Yes,
the next general meeting of the Cayman Seafarers Association is November 19th, and we will be having at that a Dutch auction in addition to the regular auction. And as a matter of fact, I met an elderly gentleman, Mr. Papadakis, Mr. Nicky, and he wanted to come, so Luisito said he'll bring him. So I have to give him a little chance to talk. The governor has invited 300 of us down to the governor's residence on January 23rd next year. And the big thing for us this year is the December 7th raffle, and we're selling tickets for them right now. So if you don't have a ticket, you can't win anything. But please support the Seafarers Association by buying the raffle tickets. Niels Godfrey was out by the hospital, but he ran out of books. I mean, he always sells more books than anybody else. But if you need books, just call me at 916-3334, or you can call the office. There's an office manager there most days from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And
you remember the office number? I was just trying to remember it myself.
947 234.
I don't remember it either. Susan, would you please? We get Miss Susan give us the office number.
Yes.
The Seafarers Association office number. Could we ask you to get the gentleman to get it for us? I try to remember what it is. I apologize, Mr. Denson.
I think it's 947. I mean, I've been there so long. I should know it by heart.
I know. Yeah. She'll get it for us, Mr. Denison. We'll get
actually,
it.
I can go into the phone get it.
No, she'll get it for us, man. Don't worry. Man. All right. While you do that, then you gotta tell us some more stuff. So we got those meetings coming up, and we've got all the other things. And I think more and more.
And as the young man called, one of the call that we had, he I wasn't going to say anything about it, but the Verdant Isle came on, has sought audience with us for 11 o'clock in the morning, so we'll know more about the
Okay, so is it 947-7378?
That sounds more like it.
Yeah, 947-7378. If you information on the seafarers to buy the raffle tickets to know more, 947-7378. Yeah.
Or my personal number is 916-3334.
All right. Oh man, but I think Mr. Dance, as you shared, it is important for the country to continue to partner along with the seafarers and come out and not just engage through the raffle, but.
But I must say one thing, Dwayne, is that, and I'm not patting myself on the back because I'm not one for that, but since I've been the president, we have been more, because I mean, even the governor himself didn't know anything about us, but now he's so enthused that, as a matter of fact, he wants to come back to the meeting on the 19th with his wife. Definitely he's gonna come back for the raffle thing on the 7th of December, because he said his wife loves to dance, and we're gonna have
got a little reel.
Yes, So, but we have been gradually over the last 2 years been able to infiltrate the powers that be, so that we're more recognized by government. Yeah. Hopefully soon we'll be totally recognized, and accolades will be given where they're due.
Well, I'm glad that you're willing to come and share, because I think it speaks to who we are. The earlier conversation that we had with our guests relative to our monthly mental health matters, gentlemen shared that as Caymanians, we're quiet and reserved. We don't speak out. We don't engage like that, and
we don't rustle the waters.
Yeah, and the way he phrased it, many would have recognized what was being shared. But the notion is simply that as a people, we're not loud and punctuous. We're not.
You don't have to be to make a point.
Exactly. And I think sometimes it's unfortunate, but the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, usually that happens. Those who sit sometimes and they're quiet, they get it passed over, ignored, and the like. Our people, it's a sense of humility. It's a sense of.
It is said that Cayman, people come to Cayman for the friendliness of the people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's true. But then, friendliness can also be a hindrance if you don't know how to conduct yourself in other manners that enhances the other person's view of Cayman.
Yeah, that quiet sort of unassuming demeanor can be mistaken. I had an engagement over the weekend where my understanding is that you go into a space, you speak. You enter in a space, you politely, respectfully, offer up a hello.
Mm-hmm.
And you see someone, you look them in the face. If you go into all effort to look at a person, you should at least try to be pleasant and smile and say hello. All right?
That's an everyday occurrence in my experience. People come in, and I said, "Did you come in before me, or did I come?"
They don't get it.
They don't get it.
Nope. And
anywhere I go, I always say good morning or good afternoon.
So. Well, I must share though, as you were talking about the support of the HSA, we're in a pharmacy at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every single person who comes in through those double doors says, good morning, good afternoon to everybody who's in there.
Of course, that's common courtesy.
Yeah. And that is
that goes a long way.
Yeah, man. One of these days, I think everybody in there gonna stand up and say good afternoon. Maybe, I don't know. But
anyway,
yes,
I want to thank you sincerely for allowing me this opportunity to come in again.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope people remember the dates.
All right, so it's the 19th?
The 19th is the next general meeting.
In December?
On the 7th of December is the social.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have food and music by J.R. Douglas, and catering by Ireland Taste. All Caymanian.
All good stuff.
Everything Caymanian.
Yeah,
and the governor's going to be there dancing with his wife.
I think only him dancing with the wife, okay? So don't. Just kidding. I should be.
But I'd also like to say, and I said it Saturday at one of the tributes that I read, Mr. I didn't even remember that he was a doctor. Dr. Makiva Bush is our patron saint, because when the association hall was bought, he actually acquired the money for us, and he won't tell us where, but he said it was some benefactor that wanted to
remain anonymous, huh?
To remain anonymous. But the fact is that through his efforts, we are able to have a home of our own. And
who said it? How saints from West Bay?
I didn't say that.
No,
as a West Bay, you should know. So. But thank you so much again, and I thank the public for supporting us, and just support us some more, please.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you, Mr. Dennis, for coming on and sharing with us, and to you and to all the seafarers, as little as a gesture is a heartfelt thanks for the contribution, but for the continuing, contributions to our society, just through the HSA and through your support of education. That in itself is just invaluable.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I hope to get that one day from the Premier.
Well, you know what? I think I know somebody who knows somebody who can talk to me.
Okay.
I'll call Susan.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. And please join us tomorrow for more Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Let's continue to move about our communities, and as Mr. Denison shared, remember, we are our brother's keeper. Mr. Hart reminds us in the morning about that. It is true. And let's find a way to be of, continuing service and value to each other.
And one last thing.
Yes, sir.
It takes 14 muscles to frown and only 4 to laugh and smile. So
yeah.
Wow. You learned something today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was wondering why I laughed so much. Take a lot of less effort.
Yeah, a lot, exactly. A lot less effort.
And you know what? It certainly is much easier, but much better for you. So please, as you go about your day and the rest of the week, may you be productive and may you be blessed. Until tomorrow.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.